Okay, hello guys, I'm Sergey Lozhkin, I'm senior security researcher from Kaspersky Lab. Actually, I didn't hack my own hospital. I didn't own any hospital. If I was the owner of a hospital, why should I be there, actually? And I want to start my presentation with this first. I really hate hospitals. I have a doctor phobia. I hate hospitals. I hate all these scary things that dentists put in my mouth. I hate all the things related to the doctor stuff. And for me, when I was doing this research, I was really actually fighting my own demons. Another thing, I had no information about what is medical equipment is. I don't know anything about medical equipment. I don't know how it works. I don't know what is MRI devices and stuff like that. So when I started this research, I was just learning something. And I want really to point this out, because this is really scary. I had no information about it, because my specialization is malware. My specialization is automotive research. Okay, it's close and related, but I had no idea what medical industry is at all. And this is very important, because our lives depend on medical equipment. Can you imagine a modern doctor? A modern doctor, it not was a few years ago, 10, 20 years ago. Modern doctor is heavily relies on modern technology. And when they're doing the treatment of their patients, when doing all this stuff, making a diagnosis and stuff like that, they heavily rely on the medical equipment. But we can trust our doctors. Me personally, I didn't trust any doctor. I really trust security engineers, manufacturer, developers, but I didn't trust doctors at all. But my granny, she's a patient, and she trusts doctor, and she never trusts a software engineer. Because he knows that I'm paranoid, I'm just walking and speaking all the things about vulnerabilities and stuff like that. But the modern doctor is, once again, heavily relies on these technologies, and it's a matter of trust. If there is a vulnerability in medical equipment, is something wrong? Actually, a really good doctor could make a wrong decision, even he is the best doctor. Another thing, what is really important here is, probably it's all like in all industrial area. When you do some brilliant technology, for example, some medical technology that is focused on making analysis of the brain or a heart or something like that. You put all the efforts in developing this technology. You pull all your skills to make this technology work 24 hours, 7 days per week, and make a brilliant analysis. But you know this, that when you develop this technology and software, system engineers usually forgets about IT security. And this is a problem not only of the medical equipment, it's a problem of a lot of area in the industry. So, like I said, I didn't know anything about medical equipment, but when I started to research, of course I'm a security researcher, I know how things done in different areas. And I will started to think about medical equipment, about software vulnerabilities in medical equipment. So, okay, there is a medical equipment, there is an MRI device, and it has operation system installed on it, and it has application installed on it. And what is more important, most of these devices right now are connected to the internet remotely, because the doctors are sitting in different kind of places, and they want to check all the things like photographs, diagnosis, and stuff like that. So, if there is software vulnerabilities, application installed, operation system, and internet connection channel, of course there are vulnerabilities that could be exploited. Then I was thinking, why should someone do the things? Because medical equipment has lots of data right now. And this data could be stolen, and we have a lot of examples of it in the media, like someone hacks a hospital and steals the personal information. It's a matter of privacy. Another thing is that these devices are really full of, and I saw it myself, I will show it here, that they're full of diagnosis of the people. What actually happens to a person, what illness he has right now. And that could be a real problem, because people could be blackmailed or something like that. Another way is most scary way, probably. And like we hear today, everything has a firmware. And this firmware could be modified. And if someone modified firmware, he could directly affect end equipment and do a really scary stuff. Imagine, for example, okay, it's a girl, she has some problem with her face, with the skin on her face. And there is a big number of devices that could help her, especially her, I don't know, cosmetic laser. And she comes to a doctor, and doctor started a treatment procedure. And what if someone already hacked the device and make a modification to the firmware? She wanted this result, she getting this result. No one wants to become a Michael Jackson right now, probably. But this is really important. It could be done, really, because it's, for example, if you take a Fraxel laser, there is a way of adjusting a laser beam. There is a way of adjusting a laser beam to making it more powerful, and actually, you can make a laser weapon from a cosmetic laser. Why not? It's possible by primary modification. When I started the research, of course, I started to use a shotgun. And I won't talk long about the shotgun, because there is my colleague who will be presenting in the next few hours, Scott Ruben, about this on the same topic, and probably he will give you information about shotgun. But the interesting thing here is that I just put some .org health search string in the shotgun, and I immediately found lots of hospitals. It was thousands of hospitals, mostly in the United States, and there were a number of devices that I found out. It was some web servers in hospital, it was some equipment connected there, and stuff like that. You can put lots of search strings. You can put, for example, radiology, cardiology, stuff like that. You will immediately in shotgun get a pretty much good number of different kind of information related to the topic. I also put a sysgo string. For example, sysgo, it's a Siemens web interface for remote access of an MRI device to manipulate it, to collect data analysis and stuff like that. So it's quite interesting thing to do. But right now I want to tell you about a real case scenario that I've done personally. While browsing a shotgun engine, a shotgun search server, I found a really interesting search result there. I found actually a hospital that was located in Russian Federation. It was located in Moscow. And when I saw the name of this hospital, I immediately found out that there is something interesting in this name, because my friend, a very close friend of mine, was actually working there. So I started to go through the ports that shotgun gave me to watch through the internet, and I find out this web application link, web application address. It's a Siemens Syngo Dynamics web application that gives you access to control medical equipment inside a hospital, especially Siemens one. Just to collect the data, share the data between the doctors and stuff like that. But the funny thing is that I found a number of the absolutely same web applications and web servers in shotgun that were actually a honeypot. So someone makes a honeypot looking like a Siemens Go Dynamics web page. But this was real. I just put an admin name and the default password that I found in the documentation for this application, and surprisingly, I was getting through. So it looks like that. It's a web console for controlling some CT device, Syngo Plaza device, whatever it is. I have no idea what it was. But I was inside with the default password. I said, hey, what the hell? How this is possible? Okay, system administrators didn't switch the password from the default. And it was officially publicly available. I started to research this web application, I'm running burp suite, trying to locate some SQL injections, XXS, or whatever it is, but it was not possible to, so the application was done really good, and it was not possible to break through in, to get access to the local network or whatever it is. So I called my friend to say, hey, I found your hospital on a shutdown. And please ask your administrator not to use this web application, just to simply get rid of default admin and password. He said, oh, interesting stuff. You're researching this. Can you please check? Can you do something else? I can provide you other IP addresses or something like that. It was actually, you can call it a white pen test. I agreed to this, but I wanted to act like a hacker. I said, okay, you told me this information, but I think I never heard about it. let's try what can I do, actually. So I went back to the showdown, and what was interesting here, it was the only one string. It's the name of the street. I said, okay, what can I do if I'm a hacker? And you know what I can do probably. I just simply sit in my car and drive directly to the hospital where it was located. I started to, I opened my laptop, I ran my Kali Linux operation system. I started to locate for a Wi-Fi, and of course, I found the Wi-Fi of the hospital. When I found this, the actually Wi-Fi connection to the hospital, I immediately deauthenticate some doctor. I immediately intercepted the handshake, and I put the handshake of the brute force, and the Wi-Fi network was configured really badly, so the password was easy. I immediately found the key, and I went inside. I was connected to the network of the hospital, and guess what? Late, of course, I found a PC with 680 years vulnerability old. It was MS-08 in NetBIOS protocol. You're probably fully aware of this vulnerability, and it was an XP machine, and I was inside this machine. I said, okay, but how it's related to industry, how it's related to medical devices? Okay, you hacked some shitty Wi-Fi, so what? And now, I just want to show you that the guys who are creating the software for medical devices, they should think about that someone could configure a shitty Wi-Fi. Or someone would make a really bad policy mistake and gave access to a local network. It was really nicely configured to protect from the external world. But no one was thinking about protecting from the local network. And forget about this, this is not related to this machine. I was looking inside through network, and I found another machine that actually has a remote access to it, a remote admin, and the web server web-based application installed. Now, okay, this is a Metasploit, of course. I used Metasploit to break in the first machine. So when I get in, I found this one. This is a control panel of an MRI device. There was no password, and when I was looking through this interface, I was looking, okay, there is a file editor or something like that, some configuration of a MRI that I didn't know anything. But then I looked into the bottom left corner, and I found some interesting thing. I said, what the frog? A seashell and a web application. Come on, even it's not connected to the internet. Even it's not, it's a doctor interface. Why the hell someone put a seashell in a doctor interface? Doctor shouldn't do anything completely related to configuration of this device. Then I click on the seashell and bam, it was a web-based seashell to the operation system with full access to the file system, actually, of the MRI device. And you can do anything there, put files, get some information from there. And of course, there was a full list of the patients who actually did a tomography on them, and the information, their diagnosis, every information was inside this device. And I was browsing through the funny pictures, and I found very interesting picture. I don't know what it is. Is it a brain or is it a knee? I have to guess. Because probably I found a man who has a brain and the knee. But it's much more better if I found the man who has brain in theirs, and there is some people in the world like that. So I grabbed all this information and presented to my friend. He said, okay, this is really not good. And once again, I had no experience in medical equipment. It just was a Wi-Fi crack plus getting access there. So what could be done actually? I think their advices are, as usual, in any area, limit your presence on the internet, get rid of the shutdown identification. I don't know if it's possible. Vulnerabilities assessment and patch management of all your software inside the hospital. I know probably this is not unrelated, for example, to the United States that has a really strict government regulations and rules and I don't know, certification for how the hospital and IT security should operate, but I know it's not implemented in Russia, so it's crazy that these things happening. Of course, it should be a program architecture in mind, and when you create an application, even it's not, like I said, even it's not have a connection to a local network or auto vault, don't put a C shell in the doctor interface. He can do simply a mistake and do something like that. And of course, penetration testing and manufacturer security testing is essential. Manufacturers should gather their own red teams and simply test before release. Thank you very much. That's all what I want to say.